Welcome everybody to another episode of Buried Pleasures. Tonight, we have an amazing and eerily spooky group of individuals that are here to share what's their pleasure. And it's Josh and Jamey from Cold Spot Paranormal podcast. Hey, hi
Yes.
guys. So,
Hi.
tell me a little bit about yourself. Tell the audience who you are, what you do.
Yeah. So we're a fairly new paranormal research group. We've been around for about 4 years now.
About 4.
So, in fact, up until that time, 4 years ago, I was actually deathly afraid of ghosts.
Right?
And so it wasn't until my darling wife actually convinced me to go on a paranormal investigation that I actually started to actually fall in love with doing this stuff.
Hence why we started our group.
Yep.
I love it. I love it. So, what made you, Jamey? What made you want to do this?
Well, I've had experiences from a young age. And I always had this fascination with the paranormal growing up. So, read all sorts of books. Like my brother, he was in junior high, I was in grade school. He'd bring home books. I'd steal them. I'd read them.
Oh yeah.
And I had just this really strong draw to it. Just, the curiosity and the possibilities of what this could be and wanting more answers. And so as I grew up, I collected so many books and read so many books on the subject. And once I got him to go on his first ghost hunt, we decided shortly after, let's start a group.
That's right. He got hooked. You hooked him, Jamey.
And it wasn't hard.
No, it wasn't hard.
So let's talk about what was the first little adventure that you guys had together. Talk about that.
Yeah, so the first place we ever investigated was Waverly Hills Sanitarium in Louisville, Kentucky.
Louisville, get it. Woo.
Louisville.
No, I wasn't. Oh, I wasn't meaning to correct you. I'm sorry.
No, you're right.
Oh, I'm glad you did, because if you didn't, I was going to.
It's Louisville. All those folks out there in Kentucky it's not Louisville. Sounds really fancy, doesn't it?
But it still sounds better than Louisville.
Yeah.
True story on that. It's for all of you St. Louis people. Yuck. No, I'm kidding. Lost Losers podcast, my friends from there. Anyway, so you guys went to the Waverly is it sanitarium or sanatorium? I don't want to.
Yeah.
I think I have too. I don't know necessarily that I've never even been there, honestly, but for whatever reason I needed to say that. But anyway, so scary place nonetheless. I've had a lot of friends go there. Tell me, what did you experience?
That well, besides being absolutely terrified standing in the parking lot waiting to go in, I found out that it really wasn't as bad as like your mind makes it out to be.
Right.
It's a beautiful, huge historic building, and I think the place that was probably the most terrifying has the most terrifying name to it, which is the Body Chute
or Death Tunnel.
Yeah. Oh, great.
So that's where during the pandemic, not the coronavirus pandemic, mind you, this would be tuberculosis. People were dying at such a high rate, and that they didn't want to terrify the patients there. And so they would bring them out this tunnel called the Body Chute, and they'd have hearse waiting aside, and they'd do it at night, so people weren't terrified. But
it seems all ghoulish, right?
Yeah, all ghoulish.
Yeah.
But there's no windows. It's really dark, and it's real echoey down there.
Yeah.
And so it kind of like plays with your senses. Your senses.
Gotcha.
But we met a couple ladies down there.
We did. They used dowsing rods, and I had never seen dowsing rods being used, and I was fascinated. So I just, said, hey, can we join you and just kind of sit and observe? We'll be quiet. And they're like, sure, come down. So we go all the way down to the bottom of this death tunnel, and they're using the dowsing rods and stuff. And we got some good EVPs off of that one.
No kidding. That's exciting to me. Like, this should be called What's Pollyanna's Pleasure, because this is so cool. It's my podcast. I can talk about whatever I want. But anyway, no, I think that's so cool. And, it sounds like the people are very welcoming, because you already are on this thought process of, okay, are these kooky people that are just out there, they're making up things or what have you. I'm a total believer in the paranormal. You have no, like, I'm right there. I'm total believer. I've had my own experiences. I totally believe in that. But you've seen people that you're just like, okay, really? Are you trying to make this something that it's not or what have you? But so it sounds, but just like, and I hate to equate it with people who smoke weed or marijuana, but people are just friendly and nice, right? Like there's a good community. It's just like anything else, just good people out there trying to figure out what's going on. I think it's amazing. So you got some cool EVP from that. The body shoot, man, that sounds scary as all get out. I don't know if I can do that. I don't know. I don't know. So what were you feeling when you were there? Like the worst dread, or did you was it cold? Like, is it cold? Super cold and gross, and just tell me about it. Sorry.
It's actually quite fascinating. While he was terrified when we pulled up in the parking lot waiting to go in, I was like, hold me back. I want in. I was going to close the
Right,
window. I
right.
wanted to go so bad. For me, it was just the excitement.
Yeah.
I think one of the things, though, is that investigation was a public investigation. So there was quite
Mhm.
a few people there. And when you have so many people, it really makes it hard to get any impressions and feel kind of what the building or what the
Sure.
wall told is putting out,
Mhm.
because you have so many other people, and it takes all kinds. You have those there that just want to be there to say, hey, I went on a ghost hunt, look at me. You have
Right.
others that are very serious, and then you have everybody in between.
Right.
So it's really hard, especially in the public, to actually get true impressions of your surroundings.
Sure. Sure.
But we did. I mean, we stayed the whole night. In fact, we were the
Oh.
last ones to leave. Um,
Oh yeah. I was
they
gonna
had.
I was gonna ask you about that. Did you see any crazy people that spent the night? But it was you. It was
it
you.
was
It was
we
us.
were the crazy people.
Did you
Um,
sleep at all? Oh gosh. No.
oh no, not really.
No.
We got
Yeah.
over about 3 in the morning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I see. I see.
Um, but as the night wore on, the people who were there just to say that they were on a ghost hunt,
They left
Mhm.
they
early.
left and they were gone, and so there was a lot less people in the building.
Gotcha.
Because we were up on the fifth floor
Mhm.
for a little while too, and that place was where it's kind of a dual section up there. So half of it was children,
Mhm.
like little kids. So if you ever seen pictures of Waverly Hills and they show playground equipment up on the rooftop,
Mhm.
that's one side of it.
Gotcha.
And then the other side is critical care. So the people who were the worst off were on that side of it.
Yeah.
Um, and up there, it feels a lot different. It feels very heavy.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Um, I don't know if you've have heard the story of Mary.
No, let's just tell it for the audience. Let's talk about it. I'm so, you know what? I'm just excited that you guys are on here. We had such a lovely conversation the other night. I'm like this is my fangirl geeking kind of stuff. I just like that. So, keep talking, keep talking.
So Mary was a nurse, and she had kind of fallen in love with one of the doctors there in the building.
Poor Mary.
And we're talking what 1930s.
Right.
And so they had relations,
Mhm.
and she ended up becoming pregnant. Um, and now this is where the story starts to diverge a little bit, but she was found hanging right in front of the elevators one morning.
Oh.
And there are reports that the baby was found in a room on the fifth floor, thrown down a well. There's a little bit variant on the report, and
Mhm.
there's also variance on did she commit suicide or was she murdered or what did she die during like a botched abortion?
Right.
Um, but yeah, that area right there, right outside the nurses' quarters and the elevators is very heavy, very like sad.
Gotcha.
And
Gives you that skin crawly feeling. I gotcha.
yeah,
Yeah.
and that's where we got most of our experiences too.
Yeah,
That's so
and
interesting.
we had gone back 2 years later, right?
Yeah, in 2019.
We went back with our group, and
Mhm.
so we had the whole building to ourselves with 6 people.
Oh, wow.
And it's there in that area that we got an EVP of this man saying, "I want to strangle her."
Oh, Jesus, God
Wow.
almighty. Ooh, I just got cold chills all the way down to my toes. Oh, listen, I have witnessed some really insane things and honestly, like, just hearing you say it, like, okay, big surprise. This is one of my pleasures, like, being scared but not scared at the same time.
Right.
Yeah,
There's
It's
that
so much
combination.
fun.
yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh
It's
my
kind of like
gosh,
a,
so oh, go ahead, please.
it's kind of like a thrill ride. Like if you
Oh,
go to an
right,
amusement park.
right,
Adrenaline.
right.
Yeah,
Exactly. I was just having this conversation about, like, so in my older years now, I I don't like scary movies. I don't. They absolutely cause me traumatic flashbacks of my PTSD stuff from the ER. So I just don't like I don't do it. So I'm watching things like Disney Channel scary stuff, That's yeah, it's suspenseful but not gory and gross. And my
yeah.
husband laughs at me constantly. He's like, "Oh my gosh, you like to be scared, but you don't like to be scared in a gory way." And so you're watching, ghost stories on Disney, which is,
That's what I do
yeah,
too.
that's where
I
I'm
do
at.
not like
That's
scary. I don't like scary movies either.
no,
Yeah,
I
So I
just
don't watch
can't.
them.
not a
Well,
fan
like,
either.
I feel like any more scary movies are more about the gore factor,
Yeah,
than the
Absolutely. Yeah.
actual like, a good suspenseful movie, I'll watch that all day long. I love to be surprised. That's a cool thing. I don't like to be terrified, though.
Don't blame
Not
you.
to the
no,
point where I wanna cry. But, have you guys yeah, so when you go do these paranormal investigations, you have a group you were telling me about. Tell me about the people that are in your group.
yeah. So we have another couple that's with us,
Mhm.
Mike and Terry.
Yeah.
They've been well. Mike's kind of like me, so he hasn't been doing it very long. Terrified growing up of it, and then his wife got him into it
As well.
as well.
We're a very persuasive group, aren't we,
Oh
females?
yeah, definitely. Um, and then we have Elisa, who is our sensitive of the group.
Love it. I love
Yeah,
So
it.
we've seen her do some quite amazing things.
yeah,
And that's awesome. What's a paranormal group without somebody with some extra sensory powers that can really dig in and help you. I think that it's so cool that you do this. And at times I think, I we're there's so many things in the world that get discounted. But we just don't know about the paranormal, obviously. We're all in search of what's going on, and nobody has an answer, 100% answer of yes, there is, no, there's not. But the
Right.
thrill of it is going in search of it. And, even if you prove it to yourself that it's not necessarily what you thought it was, that doesn't take the magic away from what's going on there. Right.
Exactly.
no,
So,
it actually kind of heightens it in a way because
yeah.
like we'll go to these places and it kind of happened with Waverly the first time we were there. It's like you go there, you take a digital recorder with you, you record the night,
Mhm.
and you're like, you know what? We didn't get anything. It's a boring night. I talked to the walls all night long,
Yeah.
and then you get to go back and you get to review, and you're like, oh my gosh, like we got an answer here and here, and it's like this is so cool.
Yeah, we ended up with some quite amazing EVPs.
We did.
That is
One
so
we think
neat.
is actually Nurse Mary.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she says two sentences, one of which you can hear clearly the whole thing.
Mhm.
And the second sentence you can only pick out a couple words. But it
Oh,
was
wow.
quite extraordinary, especially for our first big experience like that.
Mhm. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, well, yeah. I mean, it would be one thing if it's like going fishing, right? When you sit there for 10 hours and you don't get a bite and
Right?
you're just like, But,
Yeah.
yeah, you actually got EVP information, like, that's super cool to me. And for those people out there that don't know what that is, can you kinda explain that? What EVP is?
Yeah. It stands for electronic voice phenomenon.
Mhm.
And so essentially what it is, it's a voice that shows up on a recorder that you didn't hear with your own ears.
Right.
Yeah.
Ah.
So
You
yeah,
know,
it's
I it
crazy.
harkens back to the, gosh, what is the movie with the ghosts that come through on the radio? I can't even think of what it's called. Anyway, that's one of those, like, holy cow. If I were sitting listening to the radio and there's static and somebody's talking to me through that, I'm done. I'm
Turn that
done.
off.
I'm out. But
We
you
call that
know,
an investigation.
Yeah.
yeah, I call that a keys and out the door is what I will call that. No, I can't do that because you know, I guess it's because again, it's just one of those, it's a thrill fear at the same
Mhm.
time, right? It's so thrilling, but holy cow, when you get down to it, I truly believe that there are ways that we can maybe go through, I don't know, let's talk portals, whatever you want to call them, gateways to other universes. I don't care what you want to call them. That I'm down for that. I believe that for sure.
It's
I
adventure.
do. And people can make as much fun as they want. I don't care. Go ahead. I know what I've seen in my lifetime, and I know what I've heard. And I've definitely been in situations in the hospital that have caused me to be like, okay, I get it. You're here. Thank you.
And a lot of times that's what they want. They want to be
Yeah.
acknowledged.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll agree. I had a friend who was a medium once that told me, she's like, we all get really afraid whenever these entities may enter into the room with us or what have you. But it's not always the dark, that's coming after you. You like there are energies that only have certain ways that they can communicate with you. And if it's knocking something over, it's not to make you afraid, it's to say, "Hello, I'm here," right?
Yep.
But
Exactly.
because of movies and all the scary ghost stories you've been told your whole life, you have to sit there and be like, "Oh gosh, no, I'm scared. No."
Well, and that's exactly right. A lot of these things have been Hollywoodized. And
Right.
so if you've never gone out and actually done an investigation, with
Mhm.
the paranormal, and your only reference is movies and TV shows, well,
Right.
in a lot of ways, you're being very much misled as to
Yeah.
what
Right.
it really entails and what it's really like.
That's so cool. So I'm sure that you have been part of investigations where you just know that it's not anything real. Um, But again, tell me, what is the one past the Waverly? Because I know you guys had your first date there. That's so sweet. Um, but tell me of the one time that impressed you to the point where you're just like, okay, this is going to be something that we're going to do every weekend. Every time that we have a free moment, we're really going to just get into this. Was there that moment for you, or this opportunity that you saw?
Yeah, I think it was our very next real investigation after
Uh-huh.
Waverly.
Yeah.
Um, our solo investigation, which ended up being the old Montana State Prison in Deer
Oh.
Lodge, Montana, which we have gone back 4 years in a row.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
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 And that one was neat because it snowed like 18 inches before we showed up for the investigation,
Yeah.
and we got led into the prison, and we were led in by the security staff there, and there was a fresh set of footprints in the fallen snow, and they're like, those weren't there 10 minutes ago. And you
Oh.
can see because like they start in the middle of the snow and they just go, and then
Uh-huh.
they stop. Which if I was walking, if I was a human walking in the snow, you would see transition from
Right. Right.
the sidewalk to whatnot.
Yeah.
And I walked out and I followed it. I got my video recording and my digital recorder going, and I get to the end, and I'm the only one down there, and I get this EVP that comes through that says, "Gotcha."
Oh,
Oh,
my
man.
juicy.
Yeah,
Ew. That just
Oh,
made
it
me
was
go just
it was so thrilling because it was a male voice and he goes, "Gotcha," and then he goes just like that. So there
oh
was
my
the
god.
humor behind that EVP.
yep,
So
Right.
it presented like it was maybe, a spirit that was just like trying to trick you and he's like, "Ah, you fell for it."
Yeah, right?
So
I'll totally fall for it every time.
yeah,
You put your footprints out in the middle of a snow-laden field, and, yeah, I'm totally gonna follow them too. It's such a weird and unusual thing to me that we run towards things that make us scared. Why? Why do we do that? What makes our brains crave. I know the epinephrine, the dopamine, all of those, happy chemicals that are just like, bam, there you are. Let's go, run, go. But it's
Go get
so
it.
cool that you guys are doing this as a couple too. I mean, like, I talk to a lot of couples, obviously, because of what I do. But this is a cool thing that you could get into with your partner. Like,
Oh yeah.
a cool thing. I mean, just to be inquisitive about, right? Because at the end of the day, there are some really thrilling and cool and super awesome, things that we can't explain. I love
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
And this is really our date night too.
Oh yeah.
So this is how we spend time together. In fact, last anniversary, our last wedding anniversary, we did an investigation. And then this anniversary, we're
We
doing
have one
one.
scheduled
Yeah.
already
Oh
for next
nice.
month.
Okay.
So
Where are you guys going? I just have to know.
We're going to the Anson Call
Where's that?
House. That's in Bountiful, Utah.
Oh my
yeah,
gosh, you
we're
guys
more
are
local.
everywhere.
Yeah, we try to be.
That's so cool. I know the last ghost tour, or let's say ghost tour, I ever did was in Savannah, Georgia. And I'm gonna tell you, there's some absolute things that they make a mockery of, like they want you to, it's campy, it's whatever. But there were some times during some of those and, like little tours and that sort of thing that you're just like, no, I feel something. No, I saw something for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah,
No, yeah, and but then you go through this point where you're questioning in your mind, like, what did I really see something? And am I doubting myself because I'm an analytical person. I like to believe that I'm educated and I don't fall for trickery too well. I mean, I'm not gonna say that I don't, but um it's really interesting to me how our minds grab hold of that feeling of like exhilaration. That's exactly what it is. It's just that exhilarating feeling of like, oh, okay. Phew. Now I feel better. That part's over. But now what did anybody just see what happened? Was I the only one that saw that? No, please tell me. And that's you're always looking for validation in that because I want somebody, and it's cool that you have a ready-made partner with you, right? Like
yeah,
if you see it, she's gonna see it, or vice versa. And so it makes it easier that way.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
oh my gosh. Yeah. Tell me more about paranormal investigations. Like do you have a step-by-step process that you do? What do you guys do?
We kind of wing it, to
Oh
be
yeah.
honest. Yeah,
Read the
like
room. I get it.
um, sometimes we'll do prior like research and figuring out what's kind of haunting the location before we go. But a lot of times we don't do anything until after the fact,
Mhm.
which really kind of makes it neat because if we get names or anything like that, we'll go back and we'll look through history and find stuff out, and we'll figure out whether or not this actually lines up.
Right.
And then you get this sense of validation, like, yeah, that was really cool. We actually did talk to the homeowner of the building, but he owned it like 80 years ago.
Yeah.
That is so neat.
Yeah, we did that
So
up in
neat.
lava
Yeah,
hot
Oh,
springs.
yeah.
I'm
So
sorry. I missed what she said. Tell me again, honey. I'm sorry.
Oh, we had up in Lava Hot Springs up in Idaho. We had went on a public investigation, and it's where you got to sleep on location overnight. So we got a room up there.
Mhm.
We ended up getting an EVP, which when we got back home, we did a lot of research, and Josh actually found a link there that made total sense, which validated the EVP that we got.
yeah,
So cool. Have you
yeah.
done a
So
show about that one? Have you done a podcast about that one?
no, no, that was before we started podcasting.
No, I see. Well, now you need to do throwback podcasting about it. I want to
Right?
I want to send people to your show to listen about what happened. Tell me again. Tell me. Tell me.
Yeah. So like Lava Hot Springs used to be the old Colfax hospital,
Not
Mhm.
Colfax County Hospital.
is it cool?
Colfax County. I think it was Colfax County. It's Lava Hot Springs is this tiny little town in southeastern Idaho,
Mhm.
and it was it was before there was a town there, it was actually one of the places where the Ute Indians had a treaty with the other warring tribes that
Mhm.
this is a place of sanctity and sacredness because of the hot springs and the healing
Gotcha.
waters, and so they
Mhm.
wouldn't fight in this area. And eventually, there was a hospital and a town built there, and then the hospital went out of business essentially and became like an old folks home.
Mm.
And now it is an inn. So you can stay in the rooms, in the second floor. They're recovery rooms from surgical. The
Mhm.
surgical operating center is now the like you know sitting room with the TV up
Mhm.
there. And so on this investigation. We were told there was an incident that happened on the first floor where there was a guy who was a total non-believer, and he decided to get a little inebriated and then fall asleep. And he's like, you know what? I don't believe in this stuff. I don't care. Like, this isn't real. And so he was sleeping, and he claims that he was held down by a World War II soldier in bed. And
Mm.
so we're like, oh, we got to get to the bottom of this one. We got to find out.
Yeah.
And so we were down there on the first floor, and Jamey was using dowsing rods, asking yes and no questions so we get some answers. And having served 9.5 years in the military, I have at least some knowledge of units and stuff like that.
Mhm.
So I was asking him what his job was in World War II. And so I went through and I went through like infantry and artillery and armor
Mhm.
and some support ones. And uh, Jamey had said, like, we're gonna be here all night because there's so many things. And I'm like, but there's only so many combat ones. And then we get this EVP that comes through, and he says, I was mountain. And I was like, that's interesting. It's like, he can only mean 10th Mountain, which is up out of Fort Drum, New York.
Mhm.
And so I looked it up, and I was like, sure enough, they fought in World War II. And so this soldier would have been fought and then injured and then recovered back in Indiana, or Indiana, I'm sorry, Idaho.
Oh my gosh. That's the greatest thing ever. I've had such great luck in the fact that I've had, like past life regression stuff done and that sort of thing. And, they tell you to immediately write down everything. And the great thing is when you look at that and you compare it to like real life and in the world and look up the places that you say you were, but you've never been, but they are
Yeah.
actual places. Holy cow, that kind of
That
thing.
validation.
Yeah, it's the validation so that you're like, "Oh, okay, so I'm not really, not crazy. I'm not making these things up. They're actually, they're actual things." So, oh my gosh. So where do you see your paranormal investigating? Where do you see it leading you to? Are you going to do the podcast forever? What do you want to do with that?
You know,
Just hang out and do date nights with them. I love that.
well, absolutely.
Those are our date nights. Yeah.
Um, but we're really in it for adventure, and
Yeah.
so we want to take this as far as we can go to wherever we can go, whether it's over to Ireland and in the UK and France and overseas, or just through all 50 states,
Mhm.
because there's there's stuff everywhere, and you
Right.
just get to go find it. And
Right.
and
Right.
we get to spend nights in like some of the most historic places in the country, and it's like, this is awesome because we get
That
to
is
spend the
so
night
cool.
here.
Yeah.
Whether or not you want to, normally it's one thing, but we enjoy it so much.
Yeah, for us, it's the goal to stay the night in haunted locations.
Yeah.
Most people, it's like, no, we want to avoid that. For us, it's like, no, if we can sleep here, we're sleeping
Or
Yeah.
not sleeping, really.
here. Yeah, who can
Yeah,
sleep,
no,
right?
more power to you. I was gonna say, I wanna join you on your dates, but I don't wanna sleep there. Nope. No, I would be very hard pressed. Like there is, in Chillicothe, Ohio, there is an old VA hospital. And I feel like I think over, the decades that I have been in the care, positions that I've been in, no place has ever scared me or made me have such a viscerally frightened feeling than that place. And of course, it's like every other hospital. People have died there, what have you. It's just an old campus, and it creeps me to the point where I almost want to just cry sometimes. But then I've heard some of my nursing friends that have worked there, and other people who have worked there security, that place is hopping with paranormal activity, which you have to think in in a scientific way, we are all made of energy. We can
Yep.
never be destroyed because we are
Right.
energy, right?
Yep.
We have been created, and that's a thing. So if there's imprints of people's energies or what, I have no explanation for, because obviously you guys are experts on this paranormal stuff. I just talk about sex stuff, you know. Um, I just do that kind of thing. But that's the like figuring this out and knowing that this is out there. Were there resources when you guys first started that you looked at or you got information from, or do you send people like, hey, if you want to learn more about this, where do you send people to when they ask? Do you have a place? Or do you
You
say, hey,
know,
listen to my podcast and shut up? No, I'm kidding.
what would you recommend there, sweetheart?
Well, one, when we first started, we learned from other local paranormal teams. So
Okay.
when we went on like the public investigations,
Hmm.
that's where we gathered some of our knowledge.
Okay.
And of course, just through research and going out and doing, we've expanded our knowledge.
Right.
And for people that come to us and ask us, or for those wanting to know more, I mean, we have some, we have a Facebook page and a Facebook group and Instagram.
Mhm.
And a lot of times on our podcast, we'll just kind of point them in that direction, say, hey, if you have any questions or thoughts, or or want to know something, just reach out to us there.
Right. I definitely believe that people need resources as much as there's millions and billions of pieces of information out there. But if we can find credible sources, and looking in your own community is always the best thing to start with. But
Yeah.
it's very hard for people to reach out, I think, a lot of times, because you don't want to be deemed, oh, you're so weird. And, like, why are you asking about ghosts? Are you a child? I've had that. Yeah. Somebody had said that to me once, like, you're telling stories about something that you perceived that you saw. Do you not feel like you're like a little bit juvenile doing that? Nope. I know what I saw. I know what I
Yep.
felt. And you can't tell me any different. I don't care. I don't care.
Right.
Yeah. And a lot, I often believe in my heart that we do think that things that are scary are always malevolent, right? Like they're always bad or mean. But I
Oh,
don't think that
absolutely.
I don't think that that's the case all the time, but we just get too scared to stop and be like, okay, let me figure this out, because it's hard. It's hard when you're
Yeah.
frightened. Yeah, you go right back to being a 5-year-old for sure.
Yeah. But again, that comes back to the Hollywood sensationalization of
Right.
things.
Mhm.
And that's part of the reason why I was so terrified of ghosts is that at I was either 5 or 6 years old. I'm not sure which one, but I ended up watching Poltergeist with my
Oh, you crazy thing, you.
family. I'm not
That
sure
movie
if it was crazy
gave
or
me nightmares for years. I still dream about that preacher. I
yeah.
do.
See, I don't
Oh,
remember much of it. Like talking about like trauma, like that
yeah.
traumatized me to the point that I don't remember anything other than the end of it where they threw the TV out the door. Yeah, and like
Got you.
yeah, and like also watched The Shining
Oh,
at a
yeah.
young age, and so yeah, needless to say, like they didn't have the best choices in movies as a child. Um,
Where was your mother?
Yeah, where's your
Sitting
mom?
there letting me watch it. Like, figure that one out.
Well, never mind then.
That's a funny that my daughters, I've been married a couple times. Anyway, and my girl's father allowed them to always watch scary stuff. It's funny to him. And they'd come home and be like, "Oh, I watched this scary movie, Mom. I watched." I think the last one that I remember really throwing a fit over was The Gallows. I think is what it was called. And basically, it's just gory stuff, people getting hung, and all that kind of stuff in the high school. It's got to be great for it's great, whatever. But in my mind, I just keep saying to my children, please don't put that garbage in your brain, because all you're going to think about every time you turn around, I'm trying to help you. You're not going to want to pull the shower curtain closed when you're in there alone, because you're going to be afraid somebody's going to come and get you. Stop
Yep.
doing that to yourself. You're ruining it. Dude, after I saw not the original Psycho, right? Yeah, with the Bates Motel. Not the original, but the second one. I was petrified, literally petrified to ever get in the shower, ever.
Oh no.
I couldn't do it. And you know how cold it gets when you're in the shower and that little crack is in the shower curtain,
Yep.
Yeah.
the air coming through. I probably, for, I don't know, maybe 6 years of my life, I can remember leaving that little crack so I could see if anybody was walking into the bathroom while I was
Oh
there.
my goodness.
I know. It's ridiculous things. But also, I've worn glasses my whole life, and I can't see with my glasses off. And short of wearing them in the shower, at least I can see shadows through the crack.
There you go.
Yeah.
Totally get it.
That's why I got a clear shower curtain.
Oh, so you're so
So
smart.
that way I wouldn't be terrified of what's behind it or what's, coming in.
See, that's another thing. That's a whole nother level of psychosomatic trauma that we're doing to ourselves. Because we love to be scared, but also we're so very curious. And I don't know why some people see entities or energies or have empathic abilities versus other people. I think I believe that we all have the power to do this. It's just where our mind is at the moment that it happens. If you're not open to experiences, things aren't going to happen for you. That's just it. And
Exactly.
you can say all you want, but I will never discount something that somebody has told me, even though I might giggle about it for a second. I have to still believe that if you're saying that you see it, then I believe you, because
Yeah.
that's what I have to do. Yeah.
No matter how phantasmic it might seem at the
Right.
time.
Right. Like, I have a good example, and this is not necessarily a paranormal thing, but I totally believe in my heart it's paranormal. So you guys be the judge of this. I'm in an ER working in Columbus, Ohio, and I'm at the bedside getting ready to start an IV on an elderly gentleman who has not spoken for the family says he's not spoken a word aloud in like 20 years. He had a stroke earlier, never spoke another word since then. Been living in a nursing home or care facility, what have you. So I'm starting this IV. The family's all standing around the head of the bed, so nobody's behind me. There's just a wall. And I'm, cleaning the area, put on the tourniquet, doing all the things that good nurses do. And as I'm sticking the IV, the gentleman looks over at me, looks behind, like almost through me, and says to me in the whisperest, most scary voice, "Look behind you."
Oh,
Okay, now
wow.
I'm going to tell you all right now. In that moment, I hurriedly snapped closed the IV catheter, taped it. I know that they must have seen tears rolling down my face. I was like on the edge of so petrified that I could barely move, honestly. And the family's like, "Oh, what did you say, Daddy? What were you saying?" And he said it one more time, a little louder, "Look behind you." And I was gone, out, couldn't do it.
Oh
There was
goodness.
nothing there. That man ended up dying not even 20 minutes later. I'm telling you, I believe somebody was coming to get him, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
And I don't think it didn't feel mean or bad or terrible.
Mhm.
But again, we don't know what we're going to see prior to us passing, or, like we don't know. We don't
Right.
know.
No.
We
And
have no
nobody's
idea.
coming back to tell us, frankly, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
It's like, figure it out on your own. It's like being a parent. You'll get it. Figure it out.
Yeah.
But I just believe in my heart that some people just have a little more of a sensitivity to that than others, and I'm happy to do whatever I can to bring awareness to the fact that there's something out there. I don't know what it is,
Yeah.
and
None
people
of
Yeah.
us
can make
really
as
know.
much fun
No.
about it as they want until they experience it in real life and in the world.
That's right.
It's a little something, but I still, to this day, like, I'll have a dream. I have dreams about that a lot, like that, just the face of that man. And I'm just here to tell you, for people who haven't worked in the medical profession, and this is not any kind of terrible thing that I'm trying to say, but people who have lived in a nursing home who have had strokes in the past, have facial drooping, they're not exactly not scary looking. Okay. You know, it's scary to see people contractured, like bent arms, bent knees, because they haven't had mobility for long periods of time. It's scary. It's
Yeah.
scary as
Yep.
it is. It's like watching what is it, The Exorcist, when the ladies, Exorcist 3, as a matter of fact, because that's exactly what I was watching when the film melted when I was in high school, and I was sneaking out and went to the movie theater. And the woman who crawls across the ceilings, in
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
weird ring kind of way, like that's
Right.
what it
All
looks.
disjointed.
Right, and that's exactly what people look like, and it's such a scary thing because, a lot of times you are the last people that see these people, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And why would they not try to contact or reach out and talk to you if you're the last person that they're seeing? Scary stuff, guys. I don't know. I don't know how you do it, but I'm really excited to talk to you about it because it makes me all giddy. It does, because I'm working on like I'm teetering on, holy shit, I'm really scared, and this is really exciting. I'm really scared. I'm really excited.
and you know what? We actually kind of go through those emotions while you're investigating too, because things will move, or you'll hear something, or you just get that feeling that
Right.
something malevolent has shown
Mhm.
up, and you're like, oh, that's creepy. And then but you're like, but I want to talk to you too.
Yeah, right? Talk to
Yeah.
me, talk to me, talk to me.
Yeah.
Well, because you just want validation, right? You want,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
if you're hearing it, you want somebody else to hear it too. That's
Yeah.
Just
so
to confirm. Yeah.
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 And we've done two places, or actually technically three places that have been nursing homes.
Mm,
And I don't know, there's a different sense of sadness that
uh-huh.
comes with those long-term care
Mhm.
facilities.
Yeah.
Um, but they've never not been haunted.
Right. Well, I mean, if that's where you've spent the majority of your time, why would it not be,
Yeah.
Yeah. Your end of days.
Like, where else are you going to go? And some
Mhm.
people, that's the only home that they've known for a long time. That's so sad.
Yeah.
Oh,
We talked to
yeah.
this one lady, and she stayed behind. We believe that when that time does come, you have a choice whether or not you
Mhm.
want to move forward, or stay behind. And she stayed back because she was angry. She
Mhm.
was angry that she got put in the home, and that her family left her there. They just
Oh,
dumped her. Essentially, here, gone.
yeah. That happens quite a
And
bit. Yeah.
all of her family was dead. Everyone that she was mad and angry with was gone, and she
Mhm.
was still there. And she's like, I want to go. I want
I'm
to.
ready to go and let go of my anger.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's ready to
Wow.
go.
And so we helped
So,
her on.
yeah, that's what I was gonna get. Did you do like do you do any kind of exercise, like, not exorcism, but do you
No.
exercising? What kind of things do you do to help them get I mean, like, is there a possible way for that? Like, what do you do?
There is.
We believe there is. We
Okay.
believe, and our teammate Elisa, she largely handles that.
Mhm.
She always assists us in that because we're not
We've done it, but we're not
Right.
skilled at it.
Gotcha.
not enough.
No.
You know, it is there is a learning curve to it. She is, and so yeah, she will help. I mean, we've even had spirits come here to our home
Yeah, I know.
and ask us, "Can you? We're ready. Can you cross us?"
Yeah.
Oh my gosh,
So,
that's
and that's
so cool.
yeah, it's rewarding, and we hope that where they're being sent is to a better place. I mean,
Oh
but
my
like
god.
anything,
Do
we
you know
don't know.
This is a thing that I think about. Like, I believe in reincarnation. That's just what I believe in. That's me.
Hmm.
And again, you have your choice of where you want to go, if you want to go, if you don't want to go.
Right.
What if you've been doing this for like thousands of years, assisting other people to go on to the other side? How cool is that?
Right.
That would
Eh,
be neat, wouldn't it?
That
Yes,
I think
absolutely.
that's what I would be telling people all day long if I were you. This is what we do. I would, because you know what? Regardless of what anybody wants to say, you know what you're doing. You know it.
Yeah.
And it works. And it works for you. And it's great. and it makes other people excited. And I think that giving other, just doing the podcast so that you can talk to people and having the groups in your community, it's a great thing to do, because why would you not? Having the
Yeah.
information that you have. And I want to know about the dowsing rods too. I want to figure that out. I'm excited about that. I'm going to talk to you guys more about that.
Absolutely.
Yep, those are my go-to. The dowsing rods are my go-to.
Well,
I found just this really strong draw to them.
mhm.
And when you have a pair of dowsing rods, those become yours, as in, if you don't, when other people use them, it may not work for somebody else because those
Mhm.
are your rods. And
Got
somehow
it.
they know, like your energy, they know.
Sure.
And it's the weirdest thing.
What are they made out of? The ones that
Copper.
Copper.
copper. Okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Do you
I got
have
a
them?
pair behind me.
Let me see. Let's see.
Okay. Hold on.
Let's see. It's so much fun. I'm
Oh,
telling you.
yours?
No, yours.
Oh, I thought mine were upstairs.
Oh, they are.
Yeah, mine
Okay.
No worries, no worries.
He can't keep his hands off my dowsing rods.
He
No,
can't.
no, no.
He doesn't have his headphones on. I can't say anything. You can't keep your hands off her stuff, basically. Is what.
No, I definitely can't. Well, the problem is mine, I left at an investigation and they are now gone.
Of course they are. Do you know what copper's worth?
Oh,
Well,
his weren't.
mine weren't that. So these are special ones.
Yeah.
Those are mine too.
These are hers too, because mine are gone. But they actually
They light up.
they light up. I don't know if you can
Oh,
see
wow.
that. Yeah, there you go.
Neat.
So you can see them in the dark, and
That's cool.
it's just a copper rod,
Mhm.
and then there's a copper piece that goes inside of this ball bearing sleeve essentially,
Oh, gotcha. So it
and so
twists
they just
when it needs.
rotate.
That is so super cool.
So, and hers are the ones that she normally uses is just a copper rod inside of a copper case.
Mhm.
And that way you can affect.
You can't manipulate them because they're
Oh,
in
I
the tubing, and
uh-huh.
so you can't move
Oh,
them.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense. I think totally. I can remember my grandmother showing me how to find water with those.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
I remember
We
that
learned
as a
for that.
kid. I don't remember them being copper though. I swear I don't. But I remember her showing me how to use those to look for water. Never anything paranormal, by the way. But
Right.
that was something that she learned as a little girl, and I often wondered, like, it's geographical energies, right? Like
Yeah.
that's what it's just magnetism of the earth that
Yeah.
makes
Yeah.
things, and that change in the polarity. I think that that's interesting. Oh my gosh, I could talk about this all day, but
Right.
I know I know you guys have other things to do in your day as well. But so if you had to say, what's your pleasure, Josh and Jamey? You can go one at a time or both at the same time. I don't care how you do it. Let's tell me, what about this is your pleasure?
No, you're first.
I love you guys. You're
Go
so
ahead.
cute.
Yeah. I mean, paranormal investigation is such a pleasure.
Yeah.
It's so much fun. Highly recommend it to anyone to try at least once.
Mm-hmm.
There's lots of places you can go out on public investigation.
Mm-hmm.
They range in cost, usually anywhere from $20 to $150, depending on where and who will be there. But
Mm-hmm.
absolutely, without a doubt, it's so much fun.
All right.
Yeah, and I think the same for me, but it's not just the investigating; it's the history of the location, the surrounding areas. When you get EVPs, like when you ask for a name and you get an EVP of a name, it's trying to connect that name with that property, with that building. So it's the history behind it too, because it's all
Gotcha.
intertwined.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We like to say that everybody's got a story to tell,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what we really want to find out is who is at these locations and why, and what did they do? Like, who were they?
Yeah.
Right. And yeah, that's so I could talk to you guys for hours about this. But so tell the audience how they can find you, where you guys are.
Yeah. So you can find us. You can find our podcast. We're called Paranormal Peeps Podcast. And you can find us on Facebook underneath the same name. And you can find us on Instagram at coolspot_paranormal_research.
I love it. I love it.
Are we not on Twitter?
And we are on Twitter at CPR Paranormal.
I was gonna say, I found you on Twitter. Twitter
You
Spaces
did.
has been a godsend for me. I'm not lying. I really do enjoy it, and it makes, it just makes finding people to collaborate with so easy. Holy cow! They should pay me for as much as I say Twitter Spaces, Twitter Spaces, Twitter Spaces. Anyway, guys, it has been such a pleasure speaking with you. I can't wait to talk to you more. And one day we're going to meet and go on a paranormal investigation somewhere.
100%.
100%.
You're
100%.
not far from us.
No.
So.
Well, we're talking. Just you wait. All right, guys. And just as a reminder, I am PollyAnnamazing, and this is Buried Pleasures. You can find me at buriedpleasures.com. Buried Pleasures on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, all of the social medias, TikTok, whatever, all of them. And most of your major podcasting platforms, you can find us there. And thanks again to the guys and ladies, sorry, Jamey, I don't want to leave you out of there, from Cold Spot Paranormal Investigate. I love you guys so much. This has been so great. You're welcome, and I'll have you back soon. Everybody have a great day. All right, bye.
Just Some Podcast Media.